Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about Giants Wink Martindale. We don't want to rely on Doordash for backup CBs. I don't know if you guys know this about me. I am a Jet fan. My mom's a Giant fan. My stepfather's a Cowboys fan. My dad is somebody who will always root for the underdog no matter what the situation. But I'm a Jet fan. It doesn't make sense. Don't ask why. I just like the Jets and I've never really steered away from that. But that being said, however, when I saw this beautiful piece talking about the Giants hating on Doordash, it was not only an opportunity, it was my responsibility to jump on this. With that said, I actually want to see what Wink Martindale said, what Doordash even has to do with the Giants, and everything in between on the subject, because this is one of the most random things I can get on Google Alerts. So with that said, let's get started. New York Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale is no stranger to patching defensive holes. Good thing for the Giants, since there are always defensive holes to patch in New York. I used to play football in middle school. Is it bad that I don't know what defensive holes he's talking about? Maybe that's why I was never good at football. I still have yet to hear about why Doordash is a problem. The most recent hole comes from the release of James Bradbury, whom the Giants will now face twice this year after he signed a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's what you get for trading off somebody you shouldn't have traded off. As if I really know, right? Addressing the media on Thursday, Martindale was asked about the lessons he learned trying to overcome CB issues with the Baltimore Ravens. His response: don't go to Doordash for a backup corner. I'm assuming CB means cornerback. What does Doordash have to do with a cornerback? And why we gotta throw Doordash in the ring at all? You're gonna order something on Doordash, you're gonna have it delivered, and then, oh, by the way, put this on, we're putting you in? Wait, what? How does that even work? If you've ever ordered anything through Doordash, you know it could be a toss-up if you even get the right food, let alone your entire order. Most of the time, they do a decent job, but it's all dependent on the driver, which is why Martindale went on to explain that everything is in perspective. There's a lot of messed up in that comment, so let's break it down as we go. It could be a toss-up if you even get the right food, let alone your entire order. The majority of the time, when things don't arrive to your specific location, wherever you decided to order to, it's not always the fault of the driver. In fact, most of the case, it's not. It's actually the fault of the merchant for not providing the items in question. So that's not Doordash's fault. That's the restaurants you ordered from's fault for not providing that. Most of the time, they do a decent job, but is all dependent on the driver. Yes, the driver is a factor in getting your food at a decent time, but also is dependent on your ability to tip properly and also the merchant you order from. So it's not completely dependent on the driver. Let's get the facts straight on this. Everything is in perspective. What perspective are you talking about? Like perspective of the customer? Perspective of an experienced gig worker? Or perspective of the merchant? We're all gonna say different things and we're all gonna probably point fingers at each other and no one actually wants to take accountability for what's actually going on. Yet, I have not heard a single thing of what that has to do with football. You have to have a flexible enough scheme that you can make some different changes if a guy hasn't had much time playing or has been a back. Then you can make different calls to help that player out, but football is a tough profession, he said. Okay, yeah, so experience is a major factor in football, and experience is a major factor in gig work. But you can say that about any profession. It's not about Doordash. I think this guy probably had one really bad experience or a handful of annoying experiences to where if somebody were to ask him what is the definition of a bad player or a bad employee or a bad worker in general, he would say a Doordash driver. But that still has nothing to do with Doordash. Managing players and position coaches, preparing a new game plan each week for differing teams, having mitigation plans in case of injury. There are a lot of pieces in the football puzzle. Luckily for the Giants, Martindale seems to have his ducks in a row and a plan for the defense. And yet, none of that has to do with Doordash. at all. In fact, the gig workers themselves are their own boss, so we don't have a manager telling us where to be or what position we're working. The game plan every day is the same. You turn on the app and wait for a good order. I don't know why you had to throw DoorDash under the bus there and throw gig workers under the bus at that. This was just a ridiculous claim as a whole. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. This entire article, whether it's the Giants or whatever, it doesn't matter. What I saw here is that in the eyes of the general public, DoorDashers are in this weird bucket now. If you think of a bad worker, you're thinking of a DoorDash driver or an Uber Eats driver or Grubhub driver, because everybody kind of puts us in the same bucket, which really sucks because a lot of gig workers are actually effective at their jobs. And yeah, I know that DoorDash as a company has been less effective than us, really, but it's an unfortunate position we all just got put in. And honestly, it feels cruel and uncalled for, at least from this perspective. Mr. Martindale, I'm sorry that you had a lot of bad experiences through DoorDash, but I think your personal perspective on DoorDash drivers as a whole is inaccurate and quite honestly uncalled for as a whole. Although I do understand your analogy to where you need to go in with a game plan and have backups that actually make sense. Just stop making DoorDash look bad. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!